Has running your business left you feeling exhausted, unmotivated, and completely disconnected from your why? If you're nodding your head, you might be experiencing burnout. And if you are, we have an amazing resource for you. Burned, How Business Owners Can Overcome Burnout and Fuel Success is your guide to regaining control and reigniting your passion. Our friend and fellow business owner Julie B. wrote this book after her own epic burnout. Burn bright, not out, because your business and your well-being deserve it. Grab your copy of Burn today at the link in our show notes and fuel your success.
Building a business can feel like a roller coaster.
Financial headaches, hiring drama, and marketing overwhelm are just a few things that make for a bumpy experience. But with the right people sitting next to you, you might actually enjoy the ride.
That's why we started Breaking Even Better, to demystify entrepreneurship so we can make the ups and downs a hell of a lot more fun.
Each week, we'll bring you the raw, real, and unfiltered insights from our own experiences and expertise. If you're ready for no BS, honest stories, and a lot of laughter, then buckle in and listen up.
And let's ride this roller coaster together.
Welcome back to Breaking Even Better podcast, the podcast where we ditch the perfect business stories and talk the real-ish that's holding us back. I'm Brenda Harris, your staffing strategist, because hiring should be smart, seamless, and successful. And I have my other co-host here with me, Carolina Ponte.
I'm Carolina Ponte, your favorite fractional CFO and the one that does not shy away from spreadsheets.
Can we just appreciate how Carolina's name sounds like a song? Carolina Ponte. I just love it. I think it's wonderful.
Muy bonita.
Yes, it's muy bonita. And I can appreciate it from a marketing standpoint. As the marketing expert in the room, my name is Trish Seaman, and I am your digital decoder, and I help you strategize when you want to rip your hair out over your social media or your SEO. But I'm very excited to introduce our special guest today, and her name is Ms. Colleen Odegaard. Did I say that correctly?
You did. You got it. You nailed it.
I was like, man, I don't know if I'm, because that's a funky last name.
I can barely say it myself or spell it, so I understand.
Well, then
yes,
I
it's a
feel much
Norwegian
better.
last name.
It-
I'm Norwegian and I'm Vietnamese.
See, what a lovely combination. Isn't that
Yes.
awesome?
Why, thank you.
That's so
Yeah,
lovely. Like some
thanks.
very different parts of the world coming together in one brilliant woman who is now sitting to my right.
Oh, thank you so
there we
much.
go. So tell us a little bit about you and your funky Norwegian last name.
Little about me. Where do I start? I don't know. I was in broadcasting for the bulk of my career. I was on the air as a broadcast journalist
Right.
and did that altogether for almost 30 years. And
Good
this
for
is
you.
when you have shock and awe because you go, you don't look that old.
that's-
How
oh
could
my
you have been
goodness.
doing that so long?
You're only 29.
I was a prodigy. Yes, exactly.
Clearly a prodigy.
That's what I did. So I was a storyteller. And,
Right.
and I've mentioned this. I think I told Trish this one time when we were talking at some point over dinner or
Yes.
something. But when
Jokes, too.
I got into journalism, this is the truth. It's embarrassing to admit, but it was really, I just needed people to like me and I wanted to be on TV. It's not what kept me in it for the decades. I started to appreciate the craft and, you can really change people's lives for the better, help your communities through good storytelling. So, and maybe that's another episode that I was dealing with my self-esteem issues, trying to fix them through my career. And then towards the end of my time on the air on a daily basis, I started a side hustle, which then became my full-time hustle. And that was, I was podcasting and had a coaching business, a life coaching business, and also a camera confidence coaching class that I would teach.
Right.
And I was doing all of that. And I started to really think, wow, I can be a business owner. This is legit. Like, this is legit business. I'm actually making money doing it. So I quit the TV station that I was working for and went all in on my business. And then 5 months later, my husband said, I don't want to be married anymore.
Ouch.
Therefore, the
Wow.
ability, yes, ouch, 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 ouch. But the ability for me to run my business was severely affected because I just was not in the mind state to do all the things that you badasses do on a daily basis. I could barely get out of the bed. So I went back to work in television, this time on the sales side, selling airtime, selling advertising. And it was a great job, but I think I was leaving a lot of the stuff that I'm naturally good at in the car, in the parking lot. So now I'm kind of in a phase of reinvention.
I just appreciate your self-awareness too, to just say, I chose this career because it satiated a need I had as a younger woman that I'm sure all of us can relate to, having a need and kind of pursuing that, maybe falsely, or, maybe your mindset is in the wrong spot. But I appreciate the self-awareness to kind of bring that, because I'm sure that some of our listeners have dealt with insecurity and dealt with self-consciousness and have made choices to assuage some of that.
Insecurity? What would you be talking about?
I don't know
nothing of that.
But I'm not Latina. That could be why, because you don't have insecurities.
Especially, I'm really glad that Colleen is here with us because I am currently going through a stage of stage fright, if you can believe it.
I'm so proud of you for admitting that, Carolina.
No.
See, look what you've brought out in her already, Colleen. Look at the impact you've already had.
And she hasn't even shared all her knowledge with me.
I love real talk. I like real stuff. I don't want the fluffy stuff. I like the
You're
real
in the right
stuff.
spot for that.
And
That's for sure.
and I'm being honest because, I'm preparing for a TedX talk. And while I have always thought of myself of being off the cuff and being able to just speak about any topic at any time, at any moment, because I came from me being a tourist guide when I was 16. Now that I have to do something structured and it is so meaningful to me for many reasons, I am terrified. So, given your experience and the coaching that you do, can you share some insights? How do you work with people like me?
Absolutely. I would love to. So first off, know that it's normal to have stage fright. All these speakers you see, when you go and watch TED Talks, right? You go on there and you watch them and they seem so poised and they are practiced and they've rehearsed and they're scared too. That is the thing I can promise you. Even the most successful speaker probably still gets a little bit of butterflies right before they walk out on the stage. So that's a normal thing. So maybe I can give you some tips on how to overcome stage fright. And I would argue this works for folks who aren't just speaking on stages in front of a live audience. This could be if you get nervous to speak up on the Zoom meeting. This could be if you're presenting to a potential client and you get tongue-tied and you're nervous. These are skills that you can use in all of those situations. You can even apply it to your dating life, for crying out loud. But I would say, it works. It's kind of universal.
That's another episode.
Colleen's going to be here for a while. So.
How much time you got?
I really do think, though, if you're dealing with some stage fright, the first thing that I always think of to do is or any of the other scenarios I just mentioned, is get your mind right. Get your head in the right place. Just remember a few things. Notice the thoughts you're having. If you're having thoughts like, I'm going to screw it up. I don't know if they're going to like what I have to say. What if they don't think I'm interesting? What if they think I'm boring? Oh my gosh, what if I forget? If you're having thoughts kind of like that and it makes you start to feel nervous, go, wait a minute. Remember, I am the expert on the thing I'm talking about. Otherwise, I would not have been invited to be here to talk about it. So remember that. Make sure your self-talk is, no, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. Right? And do it. It doesn't have to be like, I'm the best speaker ever, right? If you don't believe that you're the best speaker ever, it's fine. You don't have to say that, but really knowing that I'm the expert on this topic, I'm going to come out, I will be factual and friendly. Even as I say that, does that do something to you in your body?
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely does to that, that confidence of, oh, I got this. I can do this.
Absolutely, right? It just kind of calms
you down. So where will you
be
May 10th?
Right. She just wants to know if you're available
at the front row of your talk.
Hey, beside us.
Nodding and smiling and clapping and woo-wooing and all that stuff. That's where I'll be on
And that's the Sugar Creek TEDx Talk on May 10th, 2025. So just in case you want to buy tickets, please do. And go to Sugar Creek TEDx Talk or something like that.com.
Just look at the show notes.
Just look at the show notes. It'll be in there. And come listen to our very own Carolina Aponte speak at her very first TEDx. Thank you.
Carolina Aponte.
Carolina Aponte. I told you, it sounds like a canción, right? It sounds like a song.
It's a song, a beautiful
right.
song. So remembering that you are the expert, and connecting with what it is that you're saying. I always think that if you are connecting with your content, whether you're delivering a speech, you're teaching some boring ass training manual to new employees, whatever it is, might be hard to connect with that content, but know it inside and out. Just know what it is that you're there to talk about, know what your information's about. That way, even if you trip up, you can find your place again. Don't be so worried about ums and ahs. I know TEDx, they don't like those kinds of things, but that happens in natural speaking. Right. It's okay if you do that or mess up a word and say, excuse me, and keep it moving. Don't get caught up in that part. Also, don't forget, we talk with our faces too. So if you're telling something funny, use your face to talk. And this goes for those of you talking to clients on the phone. They can tell if you're smiling or not smiling, So don't forget to use all of you as you're communicating.
Colleen, that's some good stuff you're saying over there.
That is.
I'm serious.
Great insight.
I'm serious. So I know as you were talking, I remember, well, I'm sure you remember because she was the one giving me tissue. Every time I public speak, my hands sweat so profusely. And Trish is the one to come and dap me up with a piece of tissue.
Like, here's some tissue for you, girl. I got you.
and then I can do my talk. And I don't know if that's a comfort zone or a comfort level for me to have something in my hand to absorb the sweat, but that's what I have to have. And I don't get it because I feel confident in me and what I know, but it's just the standing up there and talking. I don't get that. Being in the medical field, I know we use a lot of jargon. Come back, QID, or take this, 3 times a week, or just whatever the jargon is, and you use a lot of acronyms. How can we communicate that clearly without using that for like corporations or businesses?
You mean not using such inside language?
Right.
Yeah. So saying what the thing is in plain English.
Pretty much.
The easiest words that and this is what I would say to you. If you're presenting to someone who's not familiar with an acronym your company uses or the terminology that you're using, finding the most simple words you can use to make it as easy as you can for the person receiving the information, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Right. I think that is a helpful thing. Nothing wrong with holding something in your hand. If you know that when you speak in front of a crowd and it makes you nervous, just holding that thing in your hand and if it helps you, go for it. Do it. Lots of speakers have little things like that, have to hold a pen or, whatever it is. So that's not an issue. Don't forget to, before you go out on stage, do a power pose. For yourself.
Power pose?
So, can you describe what a power pose is for those of us who don't understand what power is? Do tell us what a power pose is. No, seriously, that's a
whatever.
industry
Yes,
jargon. So
Whatever makes I would say, there are people who say the power pose is, you're both feet and you're planted firmly on the ground and your, hands on your hips. But I think whatever it is that makes you feel good, just to if you're going out to speak in front of a crowd, a live crowd. Or if you're presenting on Zoom and you're nervous about it, but right before you do it, like go, woo, like be crazy. You can be go in the bathroom, go do whatever, be like, yeah, fucking A, I got it, man.
I love that.
You can do that. And it even pumps you up because you do want to be energetic when you're speaking.
Sure.
Even if it's a serious topic,
Yes.
even if it's serious, energy doesn't mean hyper, but you want an intensity to what it is that you're saying. So that people are more engaged and will listen to you. So this gets you freaking pumped up, man, right? Then you're pumped. It's helpful before you're presenting anything.
I actually love that. Just you doing that, and you are a wee lass. You are a small person.
I come up to Trish's bosom.
Oh, that's right. There she is.
Right to her bosom.
It's really like her microphone.
Yes.
That's what this is right here.
Speaking.
That's right. Speaking into the microphone. Thank you very much. But just you doing that, you exude a much more powerful energy than your body encapsulates, if that makes sense. Like, I love the idea of a power pose because you do get to kind of fill up space. And again, and Caroline, I know you and I joke around about this. And in the brief time I've known you, we've joked around about this too, that I'm not small. I'm a taller woman and stuff like that. And neither one of you are especially tall, but it's not an experience I've ever had to deal with, which is not if anything, I actually feel like I have to shrink my size so that I don't take up too much space. Whereas conversely, shorter women or smaller women need to kind of like almost scream to fill the space. So I love this advice that you're giving, especially if you're going to be on stage and you yourself are a wee little lass, a little chiquitita, and you're going to give this huge, very impactful speech that not only is something that's important for you, but it's also important for the audience to hear, because there are going to be other people who are immigrants in that audience that are going to need to hear your story. So, man, am I glad we're doing this before you have the opportunity to actually speak, because it is such a forum, and that is tremendous advice. So what else you got? What other advice?
Yeah, what else you got? What else you got?
Big open, big finish.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times people forget what happens in the middle. So if your opening is strong and your ending is strong, it's very helpful. I also think if you are speaking, you have to know your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this could be applied to anytime you are presenting some information to a group of people that you would like for them to understand and walk away with something. You know, it's helpful if you can think of it in terms like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It works. But big open, big ending. And then I've been hit by a train of thought. What was I saying?
I love it when that happens, when you have like this full, like, this is a very,
Yeah.
You have
take your eyes and look both ways.
Beginning, a strong ending.
And I was saying, knowing your audience, knowing who
Yes.
it is that you're talking to, so that you're not making it so much about you, but you're also you're making it about them, right? You know, you've all been at conferences where a speaker has come out and been like, well, you know, I'm a pretty big deal and I've done this and I've done this. And,
Oh,
you know,
those are
my
my favorite.
experience when I've done this and, you know, I did this too.
Blah, blah, blah.
And you can tell they're egomaniacs. You can
Right.
spot it. You can feel it. An audience can feel it. They don't leave that event feeling understood or more connected or anything like that if you're just being braggadocious. State facts about your work, by all means. Let people know why you are the person on that stage and why you're sharing this information, but relating it to your people. I think of, you know, the exchange of information or your story is a gift. It should be presented as a gift to an audience, whether that's over the air, they're listening to a podcast, or they're on a stage at a conference that you've been invited to speak at. It's a gift. So make sure it's a lovely gift that you've given to them, that they don't want to return. They loved it so much. So I do think strong open, strong close. That's more important. Even if you feel like you're tanking at the end, big finish. Big
I love it.
finish.
I love it.
It does help. It does help.
And I think, and I love that, because one of the things that I've keep hearing from, you know, the different coaches and whatnot is like, even if you forget part of what you were going to say, it's okay, because only you know what you were going to say.
That's right.
It's just how you come back from it, or how you know, kind of reframe and pick yourself back up to say what you're going to say. And I think that also applies when we are prospecting, when we're talking to prospect in business. I remember one particular, and I'm going to call out my client. She is my client now, but at the time when she called to set up a call to do, to figure out if she wanted to hire us, and for me to figure out if I wanted to work with her, she came on Zoom, but did not turn on her video. Of course, I'm of a different generation. And I was like, okay, I'm not okay with that, because now I don't even know who you are. Who am I speaking with? If you wanted to be on the phone, we would have arranged a phone call, not a Zoom call. And I actually said those words to her, and she was taken aback. And she's like, you make a good point. And I said, just like you're interviewing me, I'm interviewing you. And I need to make sure that this is going to work out for both of us, not just for you. And she's like, I actually like your directness. And I think that I would like to have another meeting where I can actually show up on camera. And she made the appointment, and then we met, and it's been 2-3 years now. She's my client.
Do you know what's interesting about directness and also having a strong beginning and a strong finish, and actually something that is a quality that Brenda's voice naturally has, is intimacy. That there's because you have a gentler voice. You have a nicer voice than I do. Like, you have a gentler voice. It's more feminine voice than I do. And not that it's all, I'm like the basis for comparison, but it's something I appreciate about your voice. And one of the things that you were saying is that when you mess up, it's intimate. When you speak softly, it's intimate. When you have a vulnerable moment, it's intimate. And that's actually how you can connect with people, is not in where you are at your best, but really kind of where where the common denominator of imperfection comes in. So I appreciate what you're saying, and I appreciate your directness too, because direct is about as personal as it gets. It's an intimate thing. Like, I am not accepting this personally against you. I'm not accepting this. So it's just an interesting, I just appreciate where you're coming from with that. I just think it's an interesting way to look at things.
As you were saying that, it made me think, when you got quiet, you're talking about if you're giving a talk and it's a poignant moment in your speech, there's still energy in that though, right? Like when I said
Power.
that energy isn't, woo, I don't mean that. But, if you're at a point and you're hushing a little bit because it was like, and that's when the divorce happened and my life just fell apart. I say it quietly, but there's still an intensity, right? An energy with that. That's what you want to keep up if you were presenting live in front of people to keep an audience engaged as best you can.
I know I've taken classes. I took a class at UNCC. I took public speaking and women's international women or something to that effect, and just learning to speak, right? And then the Global Ambassadors Program, I took a class with Allison Shapiro. And I used to carry her cards in my pocket. I had to speak in Washington one time. And I had her cards. I read them before I went on stage. And then I put them back in there and went out there and just tried to remember everything she said. And it's pretty much everything you just mentioned is what it was. And it wasn't about my voice, my pitch, or anything like that. It was about exuding the confidence and bringing the moment to a close and then opening back up. And you do that. You do that already, and you're not even public speaking. So
she does.
She does. She's good at that. So
Caroline is good at that.
I can appreciate that.
It's like not being afraid for the couple seconds of silence too. Right. I see a lot of speakers get nervous if they mess up or they forget something and they stumble. What I meant to say was this. You can take a moment to collect your thoughts. That 2 seconds, it may feel long to you. It's just you collecting your thoughts, right? It's not as long. It's not as painful as it feels to you. It's not painful to the audience. More painful for an audience to have to sit there and watch you have a major freak out trying to remember what's next than it is for you just to take a couple seconds, take a deep breath, and then continue. It's really not that big of a deal. I look at audiences for the most part as they're not hostile in general.
Right.
I mean, in general.
Right.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. If you've been invited to come here to speak, right?
Absolutely.
And people are willingly going and they're buying tickets for it.
They're pulling for you.
They want to hear. They are pulling for you. They are rooting for you. They want you to do well. So even remembering that, like, they're on my side too. And I'm just here to help and teach and exchange some information. It kind of helps you to chill, like calm your ass down a little bit.
And I love that because it speaks to the mindset that you have to bring as a speaker, right? That you have a message that you want for the audience to take, but you also are human and it's okay to not be perfect. No one is, even the most, professionals or people that have been doing this for decades still stumble, from time to time, especially when we consider that sometimes you get to be on stage when there are things happening in your personal life or in your business that are, just like you mentioned earlier when you were going through, the divorce and all of that, how that impacts when you show up to speak.
As you say that, I'm thinking about how we need to normalize that stage fright. Just when you started, you said, how do I have less stage fright? And I said that everybody has it. It helps to normalize that experience of, I don't have to do this perfectly. Or if you're a business owner and you're prospecting, like Carolina, you were talking about a moment ago, and you're really nervous because you don't want to lose this potential client. You really want to land this account. And then you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to flub it all up. Well, if you go in thinking that, then there's a good chance you will. Right. But if you go in saying, hey, I'm just going to, shoot my shot. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to try and I'm going to be friendly and factual and helpful. And that's it. But it's normalizing that everybody gets nervous before they have the big meeting or do the big talk. Everybody does. In my career as a journalist, I interviewed A-list celebrities and athletes and I was going to say politicians. I don't mean to bring politics into this.
Okay.
Let's just go with celebrities, musicians, actors, actresses, comedians.
Yes.
And I would ask questions like that. Like, do you get nervous? Do you ever worry about bombing? Oh my God, yes, all the time. I mean, Conan O'Brien said that to me. Glennon Doyle said that to me. That, I worry about it all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's interesting listening to you because you've done it so often and because you've spoken to so many people who clearly have very large audiences. And all of us have audiences too. What you're describing is leadership. Like when you're on stage or when you're running a podcast or you're interviewing someone, the person who's asking the questions and the person who's holding the audience is the leader. It's a leadership role, which both of you are natural leaders. Carolina and Brenda, both of you are natural leaders anyway. And I didn't catch that until I was listening to you talk just now, that's such a switch in my mind that you're not what they're consuming. You are leading them through a journey. You're leading them to wherever you're going. Mm-hmm. And even you interviewing people who are big like Glennon Doyle and Conan O'Brien, you're leading them because you're asking the questions. Mm-hmm. It's a leadership role. I had a moment that I had to share. I had a moment. I did. I had a moment. I had to share.
I have a question. Mm-hmm. So, we did talk. I think it was when we all were in the same organization. We did a talk, and I was the president at that time, and my husband brought me a nice mixture before I went on stage.
I love Keith so much. The more I hear about him, I love him more.
I was so nervous and shaky. He bought me, it was large too. I don't even know how he got it in the Mint Museum. I don't even know how he got it in, but he got it in there. And I stood by the bathroom and I chugged that thing back. And then I went on stage. But what made me feel more comfortable, I said my part, what made me feel more comfortable was this lady, Nicole Maloney. Mm-hmm. She came out with this big energy, and just the crowd was just loving her. And then we, of course, introduced Miss Carolina to speak and other speakers. But it wasn't just the energy of us; it was the energy of the crowd that kind of keeps you going and keeps you pushing forward. What do you think about that? Do you feel like the energy comes from the crowd, or is it all from you giving out to the crowd?
It depends on what it is I'm doing. If I'm emceeing, I definitely think a good crowd does bring me energy. Right. If they're going to be playful and fun, then I know I can make jokes and be playful, and we'll kind of feed off of each other's energy. But I'll tell you, a live audience, especially if they're leaning into what you're saying, it feels great, right? And then you're connecting. For me, when I am speaking, I probably take on too much responsibility, but I feel like it is my responsibility to bring it to them, to bring them just to deliver the goods, to deliver what it is that they were supposed to be getting, if that makes sense to you.
I felt like that until I drank. Then I was just like,
the party's in about you, asshole. You can like it. Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, Nicole, it's your turn.
You got this.
I really do. I just think respecting your audience, that is to me is the biggest thing. A lot of folks who do keynotes, we have signature talks, right? Mm-hmm. And I think if you are going to speak to a group of dentists, right? Change your talk a little bit so that it is, be respectful of the fact that you're talking to a group of dentists, right? Right. Or whomever that group is. You're talking to Major League Baseball players. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now let's, just always serving your audience, your audience. More about them, less about you. And I know that's a weird thing to say when you're sharing. If it's a personal story,
that's perfect.
If it's your own story, you're thinking, but this is about me. But it's what are people going to learn from your story, which I know is what you're what you're doing through this podcast, sharing your business failures and things that have gone wrong so that hopefully other people don't make those mistakes.
Right.
But always leading with that, just being of service, it helps.
Absolutely.
That's totally a great point.
And so I love that because it is true. We have to consider what is the takeaway, right? Which is one of the main things that we provide through this, podcast is key takeaways so that people can then implement and do it on their own, do it better than we've done it in the past. Mm-hmm. And I would ask, putting the public speaking aside, for actual business owners who have to have presentations or conversations in different settings for their business, what are the 3 things that you would advise someone so that they show up with more confidence and that their messaging is clear to be able to either close the business or solve the issue? Because it's not always closing the business. Sometimes it's solving an issue with a client. Mm-hmm. So what would be the 3 tips that you would give our audience?
To a business owner who's going to present to somebody and they're trying to land this deal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think it is, hopefully, business owner, you are so in love with what you do and you were so in love with your business and you believe in it so much, and I assume you do because it's your business, that not talking about it would be a ripoff to these people. So leading with that, knowing what I do is a solution for you, it would be selfish of you not to pitch it. So I think being so in love with your business that you can't help but want to talk about it, right? In that way. And that comes through to a potential client that, yeah, this works. I've helped people just like you. And here's how. Having that clear messaging. I can't tell you how many times, this is even when I was on TV at one point, I wasn't doing a news show anymore. I was doing a talk show, TV lifestyle show. And we did have some paid for content. So it would be business owners coming on to talk about what they offer. And a lot of these folks would come on and say, well, I want to say that I have a really great team, and we're a family run business, and we just renovated our offices and they're really pretty.
I'm already mad.
And I would say to them, what do you want to have happen as a result of this on-air experience that you're having?
Right.
You want your phone to ring. Nobody cares that you're family run. They don't care that you have an incredible team. Hopefully you do. We're just going to assume that you do. And I'm glad you have a nice office, but I'll be there for just a few minutes and it doesn't really matter to me. Like, those are not the things. Right. So to answer your question, sorry, long story longer, I think it's getting clear about bottom line, what are the most important things, and saying them in plain English. We can't make things confusing for people. Even when I was selling advertising and people would say, well, we're this and we're this and we're this and we're this. And as you know, and Trish, as a marketing expert, you can't be all things to everybody. That's not, it's not great. Then you want to be excellent at this one thing. So knowing what your message is and saying it over and over and over again. And then, leading with some humanity too. I think that we cannot. So those would be my three things. It's having humanity in the conversation. Please don't look at people as just a sale, as a number, as money in your bank account. It's gross and yucky and icky, and people can feel it. I know it. I know all of you know it. All of you listening know it. When somebody is just trying to
make a buck
get
off.
you. Yes. And it's gross. We don't want to do business like that, and I do think authenticity and having humanity in your business transactions makes you a better business owner, says the person who ran her business into the ground. So
hey,
take it for what it's worth.
But that's for other reasons, okay?
It's for other reasons. And also, I think we need to shake the moniker that failure is the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. Michael Jordan did not sink every shot. We just see the ones he sinks, right? So it's not, success is part of the journey. A failure is part of the success journey. It's not antithetical to the journey. So that part of your business didn't work out, and yet you're going to relaunch your podcast? Am I right?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Tell us about that.
Thank you very much. It's called Wake Up to Your Life, the Wake Up to Your Life podcast. And so I was podcasting for a few years. I think there's 110 episodes out, if I'm not mistaken.
That is not a few. That is a lot.
I was very proud of it. And I really love podcasting. I find it very intimate, more so than I ever found doing television. I'm not exactly sure why that is. Maybe it was the nature of what I was talking about on my podcast, but it really kind of the way I pitched the podcast is that it was, you ever feel like you're just kind of living on autopilot. You wake up and you're going through the same motions every single day. And it's just, life is good-ish or it's fine-ish. And you think, God, but there must be more. There must be more than just this. And so that's kind of what it's about, how you can awaken more stuff inside of yourself to improve all aspects of your life. So that is what I talk about. Anything I think that's going to help you make your life better. I interviewed parenting experts, and we've done episodes about sex, how to improve your sex life, how to have better communication with your partner, how to remain in a positive mindset without toxic positivity and all that nonsense. And I really just loved doing this, and a lot more people listened than I thought would ever listen. So that was a kind of a nice surprise. And then I stopped the podcast 2 years ago because I was dealing with depression again, the fallout from this life I had that looked very different. But now I'm bringing it back. Now I'm bringing it back because I didn't want to teach from the wound. I like to teach from the scar. And I think I was still oozing and bleeding all over the place. It was just wasn't appropriate. And I'm different now and stronger. So that's why the podcast is coming back. And it really is just because I love doing it. It's so fun. I mean, I hope that you're finding that experience too.
Yeah. I think that loving it is part of it. And I also think that resonates with not only the three of us, but with our audience, that wounds come, they happen. None of us gets out of this life unscathed. And I think that having experiences like that and then leaning back, healing and coming back and saying, all right, well, this is what I've learned from that perspective will resonate really well with anybody who hears that.
I really want that is what I hope happens, that I can share. I too want to be of service. That's it. I mean, I promised myself that the back nine of I'm on the back nine. Let's face it. I'm 54 years old. I'm not saying I'm an old person, but I have more years behind me than I do.
Everybody likes the back nine better anyway. So it's all right. Everybody likes it better.
Well, I just learned a new term. I don't know what that was.
Yeah. So there you go. So the back nine. We've already hit the halfway house. We've already gotten the snacks. We're good. So.
Well, yeah, I've had my snacks and now I really want this part of my life to just to do more good than harm, right? To be of service in some way, to help and to talk about, I get it. The stuff that, business owners are going through when when they have imposter syndrome or they're struggling or they made mistakes and they think, oh my God, I look foolish and so-and-so's so much more successful than I am.
Right.
I mean, look at her Instagram and we believe all these things and we think we know everything and we don't. And I get what it is to be there. I know what it's like to feel like, oh my God, maybe I'm not good enough and how you can do stuff anyway. The stuff that you want to do, whether it's write a book, start a podcast, open a business, close your business, whatever it is, right? That it takes a tremendous act of courage and bravery. And
that's right.
If we can face the things that scare us being brave is something we all have to do. I think on the other side of being brave is the stuff that we want.
That's right.
Yes, I love that. Absolutely. I love that. And I love because I know just from the feedback we've gotten from listeners that the stories resonate because they're real, because we are telling our stories of the failures, but also success and also the what the F that happens on when you own a business. And part of serving others is being able to share those stories and for people to be able to connect and see themselves through the struggles of somebody else, right? So I love that you're relaunching your podcast.
Me too.
I can't wait to listen to it. And also the messaging and the clarity that we have to have when we communicate, not just in a public stage, but in our business with our prospects in the podcast. And we are enjoying this journey as well.
Yes. I just love that your message, your overarching message here is really to kind of come from a place of serving your audience, but from a place of authenticity, which is really hard for us here on this podcast. So I'm really Thank you so much, Colleen, for sharing your story too. The truncated version of it, but I appreciate your insights too. It's been good listening to you. So thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me. It's an honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
So if you are having any trouble getting your message across, if you know someone who's having issues getting a message across, please DM us and we can get you some information. Listen to this podcast, share this podcast, subscribe, and until next time, keep breaking even better.
So that's it, babies. Thank you so much for listening to the Breaking Even Better podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. To connect with our podcast or any of us individually, make sure you head to the show notes for all the links you need. See you in the next episode.